Okay, Simon Kuf Beis, Dover Sheyesh Lematirin Uboy Dalit Sifim. Chapter 102, matters, the law regarding matters that are currently prohibited, but with time will become permitted, or not with time, but will at one point become permitted, or can become permitted. And there are four subsections. So it's not a lot of content to go through. Now we can finish it easily in one sitting. We'll break from Mariv and we'll continue. Sif Aleph. Kol davar, anything that is forbidden, sheyesh lematirin, but with time or at some other later point, will later become permitted. Going, for example, beitza, an egg, shenolda b'yamtiv, that was born on yamtiv, which an egg that's born on yamtiv is forbidden. Sorry,
good for the next day.
Good for the next day. Forbidden to eat on yamtiv. Forbidden actually even to touch it, to move it. It's muktzah. It's the original muktzah or noilot, whatever the reference is, as the Gemara discusses in the beginning of beitza at great length. It is good for the next day. So right now, one may not eat that egg, but in 24 hours, one will be allowed to eat it.
24 hours meaning Yom Tov is over.
After Yom Tov is over. Or 10 hours, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
So in this arva, now this egg mixed into other eggs. The other eggs are kosher, born before Yom Tov. Bein shlema, whether the eggs are whole, so it fell into a bowl with a bunch of other eggs. Bein terufa, whether it was scrambled with a bunch of other eggs. Ein batela, the egg is not permitted, even though ordinarily it would be permitted by a ratio of either majority or by 60. In this case, it won't be permitted. I feel ba'elef, even if you got 1,000 eggs to one egg. Now, why is that? We explained that great length on Sunday. We're going to stick with Rashi's view because that seemed to be most consistent with the Shulchan Aruch. But we explained the Ran's view as well. The view of Rashi, and that seems to be again dominant, is, exception of Taz, who makes reference to Ran, which is that considering that at a later point you can eat this mixture without relying on nullification, don't rely on nullification. Why should you rely on nullification when we don't have to? Right now it's nullified. In a few hours it'll be completely permitted and won't require nullification. So wait for that time when it's not required nullification. That's the general idea.
Sure sounds unforgiving.
It's not so bad. It's 24 hours at tops. What's the...
But even in 1,000, I mean, even...
Yeah. It's extreme? Yeah.
Extreme.
Yes, it is.
The person made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
This mistake would have been nothing any other day.
And now you get
wasn't that intentional.
A little skafia.
Apparently
the Chazal want us to do some skafia. To take it even farther to the unforgiving nature, even if we're in doubt, was it born on Yom Tov or not? I don't know. Maybe he's born yesterday. So because of the doubt, we wait till Yom Tov. And now it's a double doubt, because first of all, your doubt if it was born on Yom Tov, and this and now this egg mixed into other eggs. So it's a double doubt. It's a doubt because it's been nullified. A, B, it's a doubt because you don't even know. Maybe it's not even forbidden. We'll talk about Svek Sveka when we get to our u'LeMaaseh part, to how different versions of Svek Sveka apply. But yes, it's a version of Svek Sveka. Sorus, this entire mixture is prohibited.
Which Sveka is Lakula.
Usually. Because Dover Shishmat, okay, when we speak about the u'LeMaaseh part in a minute, after Ma'ariv, I guess, we will address the different types of Svek Sveka. Now, that's generally speaking. In this arva, if it mixed into a mixture that's not of its own type, so egg got scrambled into a soup, this egg born in Yom Tov, potato b'shishim, it's nullified by 60. Okay, we explained how that works on Sunday. Why is it that we don't have the stringency of davar shishim atirin, but this is the halacha. This stringency that you have to wait till it becomes permitted is only in such case where the two types that are mixed together are the same. When it's min b'she'en minoy, an egg in soup, and the egg's going to become permitted when Yom Tov is over, no stringency, it's nullified. And it's be'en minoy. Okay, we'll talk about u'LeMaaseh a little bit more about that as well. Miyu, however, continues the Ramah, if the egg mixed in there was in order to give a white flavor, a look to the egg, to the soup. Yeah. Then, or if this mixture was put in there and it perfects the mixture, it gives it your consistency that you want. It gives you whatever the flavor that you're looking for by adding this. So now it's no longer considered be'en minoy. It's not considered mixed into not its type, even though it's technically egg and soup. Because you want it there, it becomes minoy. as we explained on Sunday. We're going, for example, Shemilu, Batarnagolas. You took the eggs, so you have these eggs got almost together, and then use the eggs as stuffing for your chicken. Ain't a potato, it's not nullified. Even though it's min b'shein minoy, it's an egg in a chicken. Which we just finished saying that min b'shein minoy doesn't get the stringency of davar station material. And it is nullified. In this case, it's considered minoy, it's considered of its own type, considering that it provides a service to the thing that it's invested in. Right? Which was the idea we explained on Sunday. That when it's be'ena minoy, when it's been minoy, then the reason why it's not nullified is because that mixture actually works to your advantage. When it's not been minoy, it works to your disadvantage. What you have here is the other type. But the thing that's mixed in there is the kind of thing that's ruining your mixture. Okay, so in that case, we'll let you rely on nullification. But when the thing that's mixed in there is to your advantage, either because it's min minoy, or in this case, because it's adding a flavor, it's adding a coloring. So now we're going to tell you that it's back to be considered to your benefit, and therefore you have to wait till it's totally mutter, matzah yomtiv, or whenever it's going to become mutter, rather than relying on nullification, because eventually it's going to become mutter anyway. Where there discusses the laws of eggs born on Yom Tif, and there too it makes mention of these halachas here about when it's born on Yom Tif and it gets mixed into other things, when they're not nullified. Okay, we're at 8:10. We're going to pause now, Ma'ariv, and we'll get to the u'LeMaaseh of this and the rest of the halachas after. Pause recording. Okay, a few comments on Sif Aleph. Number one, min b'minoi, which we just said in the Shulchan Aruch. That's when the stringency of davar shtei material applies, and that's something that's going to be permitted later if it's mixed with its own type, will not be nullified until you don't need nullification and it's not permitted. As the Shach explains, that the geder of min b'minoi is not by flavor but by title, by name. Okay, we spoke about that a bit on Sunday, but that's a comment that's important to note. The Shach's view. Now, what happens if it falls into a mixture that has both minoi and eine minoi? So the egg, which is born on Yom Tif, falls into a mixture that has many other eggs, plus a bunch of other things. It falls into a dafina. Yeah. So what do I need? As long as I have 60 of non-minoi, then it can be nullified. As long as you have the nullification. Yeah, it's obviously only if the actual prohibited thing was removed and you're just nullifying the flavor that it admitted, right?
But you can't eat it still.
Or if it's liquid and you can't identify it anymore.
Okay.
No, you could eat it. You could eat it because it's nullified.
You have to remove it.
Oh, the thing itself. Yeah, the point is you can't identify where the prohibited thing is.
If you're gonna,
You can.
Then we
Still
can
with it
still
anyway.
eat it tomorrow.
So you just but
You
if
can eat it anyway
put
tomorrow. That's right. It's mutter anyway tomorrow.
By itself, there's 60 to the ratio there.
But you see what the egg is, you take it out.
But
Like anything else, then.
the
It was
dafina is
Right.
bottle and 60.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Okay, went through that. Next thing is right. We had the chiddush here that even though it's suffix, even though it's a doubt, and it's a prohibition d'Rabbanan, as is the case here, the prohibition against an egg that's born on Yom Tif is a rabbinical prohibition. I'm not sure if it's born on Yom Tif, says the Ramah. And still, because, says the Mechaber, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's born on Yom Tif, so it's a suffix, plus it's the Rabbanon, and yet still, it's not nullified. Yeah? Now, many halachic authorities argue that this is only when you have a suffix in reality. You don't know when this thing was born. If it was born on Yom Tif, it's definitely a prohibited egg right now. But I don't know if it was born on Yom Tif. But what happens if my doubt is not a doubt of fact, it's a doubt of din? Well, there's a machlokes as to what the halacha is with respect to this item.
Meaning what?
born Banish Masha.
Yeah.
Oh, let's say born Benesh Mashis, good example. Yeah, let's say it's born Benesh Mashis. That's also really a suffix in mitzi. It's not really a suffix in din. Let's say machlekes and din about the nature of this egg. Let's just say I don't know. I'm not halach, but hypothetical. Think of hypothetical where there's a davar sheish matirin, something that's going to be permitted later, but right now it's a machlekes if it's even also to begin with right now. And even the ones who say it's prohibited, it will become permitted later. Whatever that case is, I don't know.
So
A doubt if your neder took a hold. Let's say, yeah. So it's a suffix medin. Then there are those who would say that we would be lenient and say it is nullified. Because the doubt here that the Machaber says to be stringent on is where there's definitely a prohibition. It's just a question of whether or not this prohibition actually applies to this item.
so theoretically, the doubt is that whether it's an egg, like that.
No, well, you don't know if it's
No,
born
I'm
or
saying not an egg, but I'm saying that's the theoretical idea.
You don't know if it qualifies as a davar aser.
It might not
Can you
be.
give an
It
example
might
here?
not be something that you have to wait for tomorrow to.
Correct.
ingest.
It might be permitted now completely.
It might
Yeah.
be permitted now.
But
So
by
that's-
law,
that's-
not just by the fact that it wasn't born on
Right,
Yom Tov.
right.
Yeah.
In other words, not the doubt as to whether it was born
Correct.
today. The
Correct.
doubt is whether it would be anyway permitted today.
Correct. Now, others say another point. Oh, I think I mentioned that. All right. We have also different types of two other types of issues of sfekas, where you have a sveka, for example. So you have even more suffix. The egg was born on Yom Tov. Let's just say we know that for sure. Now it falls into a mixture of other eggs, and then from there, one of the eggs in that group fell into another group of eggs. What do we have? The halacha then. So here we have. There's a shach that the Shulchan Aruch clearly is being lenient, right? Because the Shulchan Aruch the bottom line is the machlekes if you should be stringent here, and the end is if it's deraisa we should be stringent unless there's great monetary loss, and when it comes to if it's a rabbinic issur we are makel. That's the bottom line.
But the whole thing about the egg, that challah is rabbanan, right?
Yes, but here's a sveka, where the egg fell into a group, and then from that group another egg fell into a different group.
What was midorais over there? What?
In this case, it's derabanan, but it could be a case where it's a deraisa that's going to have matirin. A neder, I made a neder on something that had matirin, but deraisa prohibited from eating that thing, and then it fell into one group, which then fell into another group. Yeah, so sveka deraisa. Okay.
I don't understand how they could.
Sorry,
I don't understand how they could allow it.
how they could allow it.
How they could allow it. I mean, if you said that even one of
It's so far removed.
wouldn't be nullified, right?
So the taka are those who are stringent in that regard for that reason. There are taka those who are stringent.
If you take it and then you mix it with another one, it should be the same thing.
Yeah. There are others who there are more in Shimon Kufyu. It says it's best to be stringent. Which Kufyu is where the real subject of sveka is. We'll get some more about that then. But yeah, those who are stringent in that regard. Okay. Okay. Our case here is where you have two sfekas, but the suffix here is one suffix is in the very fact that the Isser exists. In Begufa, it's a suffix in the thing itself, was born in Yom Tov, and the second suffix is that it's in Taruvas. In that case, clearly we are stringent. Okay, back to Shulchan Aruch base. Sit base. Yesh Misha Omer, those that say Shaloi Amru that we don't apply the principle of Davar Sheish Matir, and that's something which is currently prohibited but will become permitted, and we say we cannot nullify it. That's only there are those who say that we limit it. Kishamater Asad Lavoi, when the permission, the permissibility is going to come on its own. I'll call upon him in any event it's going to arrive. Option A, or or if it's very easily in my hand to make it permitted. So the first case where it's going to happen automatically, it's when Yom Tov is over, the egg is permitted. Great. Second case is where I vowed from eating something, so it's prohibited now to me, and it can very easily be done. I can go to the Rav and get a hataras nedarim, so I can very easily nullify. Then and below hefsid, it cost me nothing to nullify it. It cost me nothing to nullify that vow, so it cost me nothing to turn this into permissibility. That's when I say we're sorry, you're not going to rely on bittul because you can very easily nullify it, or because it can happen automatically. But something which is not in my hands, I cannot control whether or not it's going to become permitted later. And and it's not 100% certain that the permissibility is even going to come. He's going to give an example for it in a moment. It's not, it doesn't get the stringency of something that's going to will eventually be permitted and therefore could be nullified. So the stringency is only when A, the permissibility is going to come automatically, or B, I can do it without any cost. I can do the nullification without any cost. But if it's out of my hands and it isn't an inevitability, then I treat it as if it's going to be forbidden forever and therefore will be nullified. What's the example of Yichach? Therefore, Bates or shell, Suffolk Treifa, an egg born to a chicken who is in a doubt as to whether or not it's kosher or not. Treifa, as opposed to nevela. Treifa means an animal that at the time of its death, at the time of its shechting, was unfit to live for 12 months. By halachic standards, we're not going to get into what that means, but that's what it is. So now, the chicken born from this egg, the egg born from this chicken, is prohibited because this chicken itself is not kosher because it has a punctured lung. Yeah, so the egg chicken is not either. The egg's not either. Now, this particular case, the chicken is in doubt as to whether or not it actually qualifies as a treifa. I'll only know in 12 months from now. If the chicken is still alive, then I know it wasn't a treifa, which means the egg will have been retroactively kosher. So this egg right now is theoretically a dover shlishim matirin. It's theoretically the kind of chicken that will become kosher in 12 months from now.
Maybe.
But it's a maybe. And I can't do anything about it. It's because A, I can't do anything about it. B, it's not a definite. Therefore, if this egg got mixed into other eggs, and if it didn't dover shlishim matirin, it doesn't qualify for the stringency of not being nullified as something that could become permitted later. Because the vadai, it's not absolutely certain that's going to become permitted. And number two, it's not something that I can control. Right? Sorry?
What's this treifa?
An egg that is currently a treifa, but it could turn out later that it's not a treifa.
What would it make it a treifa?
It has a punctured lung, it's a treifa.
The
Right?
chicken is a treifa. The mother of
The
egg.
chicken is a treifa. Right? And if the egg would be considered a treifa as well.
Oh, it passes it on?
Sure. If it's born from a so because very good question. So now all the eggs you buy in the supermarket, you have no idea what the chickens were, what the chickens were. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it's buttle, and it's not going to be selling us here.
But if I have a chicken that I'm not shafting, but I'm just using for eggs, how much?
Oh, but maybe in my backyard.
Yeah.
So if I don't know anything, I don't know anything. I don't have to assume it's not kosher. But it's limping or this or that. There's something that indicates to me that it might be a treifa. I'll only find out if it still lives in 12 months from now that it's a treifa. Another example is if it lays another egg after a certain amount of time, then I know for sure it wasn't such a treifa. There are different ways of finding out if it's not a treifa. In time, that's not the subject of our halachas now. But the point is, in time, I could find out that retroactively this egg was never not kosher. So because A, it's not in my hand, B, it's not an absolute guarantee, then the nullification applies now, and I don't treat it as if it's u'LeMaaseh. Okay? Gimel. Kli, this is a more common case. Kli, a utensil, sheneser b'bliyas, that became prohibited because it absorbed something that wasn't kosher. Like non-kosher food is cooked in this pot, or this spoon, or this fork, whatever. Shenesar but achedim, and got mixed with other vessels. Ve'enu nicker, and I cannot identify which one it is. Then batul b'roiv, you follow the basic halacha, which is nullification. Even though
In the
majority, even though theoretically it's something that is in my hands to kosherize, I can take all those metal knives and kosherize them.
And no cost.
Oh, hold on a second. But the Shulchan Aruch says it is nullified, which means we don't treat it like davar shteish l'matirin. Why? He says that Rama, the fee should because it cost you money. It cost you to kosherize it.
And if not,
we'll get to that in u'LeMaaseh. Let's assume we're in Ramah days, and it cost me wood to burn up a pot to boil. So there's a cost involved in kosher and bringing the heter about. So because there's a cost
I could
involved.
answer you that I have the wood and it's burning already and I'm cooking food on it.
Okay, let's see. But
Yeah,
very good. Let's see. Let's see what the Ramah says, because the Ramah doesn't seem to say that it has to cost you a lot of money. The Shach indeed says, and only if it costs you a lot of money. Otherwise, it is considered davish matirin, and you have to kosherize them. But if the Ramah seems to be saying, even if it's not going to cost me a lot of money, right? But there could be a scenario where it cost me a lot. Let's say, and as we're going to learn the halacha l'maisa, that even if it costs a lot of effort, it would not be considered something davish matirin. For example, if I'm a caterer and I have 100 pots and one non-kosher pot fell in there, I'm going to kosherize 101 pots.
Right.
That's a serious both loss of monetary value and time and effort. Allah would say it's not considered davish matirin, it's buckle. Right? But there must be saying even any cost. It doesn't say a lot of cost. Any cost. The fact that it cost me, it's no longer davish matirin. Same things, any other situation in which, in order to kosherize that thing, in order to bring the heter, in order to bring the permissibility, it would cost me. So if it would cost me, it doesn't get the davish matirin, and therefore it will be nullified. Okay, let's get to some practical examples since you mentioned that, because that's a very good point. Today, what does it cost you to boil a bottle of water? Nothing.
So I would have asked, if so, when I needed to go to the Rav, I needed to extend myself, right?
Right.
In the case in base. So it's biyadei, it's not biyadei because it's going to cost me something. So
Okay.
I said, this egg I'm never going to eat.
Oh, one second.
I swore I'm never eating this egg. And then I mixed this egg with the other eggs.
The cost, okay, first of all, if we get to the cost, okay, the cost of the egg, the fact that I have to wait.
Not the cost of the egg, the cost of the effort to make it.
Hold on, to make. Okay, well, let's mix up things up. Here we're talking about vessels. We're talking about a loss of monetary vessel to kosherize it.
Right.
There's no loss in effort to kosherize this egg. I just have to wait till Yom Tov is over. Zero loss to me. If I'm going to lose out and eggs in a spoil, we'll learn in the next halacha that actually maybe you could nullify it, right? Because there's a loss. So the fact that I have to wait till tomorrow, wait till Yom Tov is over is not considered a loss.
Not double shake,
right? Wait tomorrow for it to be kosher is not a loss. But here there's a loss of monetary cost in kosherizing it.
But you have to wait with the keli. You're still going to have to wait 24 hours before.
Yes, so let's get to that.
That's the question.
Okay, so now let's get through all the details. Very good. So first of all, the shach, which says it has to be a great loss, and even though the Rama only says a little loss. Now, in reality, it says, including Rabbi Shlomo Mechubah says it's from the Alter Rebbe as well, from Taz and the Alter Rebbe and others. You have to, because we're talking about vessels that you're waiting 24 hours for anyway. Therefore, you can rely on the Ramah that even a minimal cost will exempt you from kosherizing them all.
But you have to wait 24 hours. You get to use any of them. Yeah.
Wait 24 hours.
So
now, I'm going to argue that there's cost to turning on your electricity.
Yes, of course.
There's a cost. Any cost. Period.
Not Aruba at all.
But that's not cost.
Shach doesn't say merubah. Shach says merubah. Ramah says cost. Any cost. And when you're waiting 24 hours anyway, which, according to these sources, Alter Rebbe included, that if I'm waiting 24 hours and I can rely on the Ramah that any cost exempts me from nullification, exempts me from kosherizing them all, and allows me to rely on nullification, then why not do it? Go for it. And say that the electricity cost. Yeah? Now, however, he adds here, Psukim B'Tshuvos. Now, notably, he adds here without putting a footnote. But this is what he adds. So it seems like this is his own thing. It should be noted. It should be hadgish. It should be emphasized. He says, if there's no cost and there's no effort to kosherize them all, more than it would cost you to kosherize one, because the loss of value has to be only in the kosherizing extra. Because if you had that thing before it fell into the mixture, you would have to kosherize it. The fact that you're kosherizing one is a no monetary loss. The monetary loss is only when it costs you more to kosherize all of them. So let's say it's one knife that falls into three knives. The cost of electricity to boil a pot of water and kosherize one knife, or let's say one fork, let's say a knife requires stabbing, but a fork, right? Not a fork, a spoon. One spoon into three other spoons. That's right. The cost of boiling a pot of water to kosherize one spoon is the same as kosherizing four. So I can't claim that there's a loss of monetary loss by kosherizing all of them and relying on nullification, which would mean therefore I have to kosherize all four of them, because cost of kosherizing all of them is no more than the cost of kosherizing one. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, it's an important point. Now, so three more things about relying on not kosherizing these pots because they're nullified by the majority because it costs you money to kosherize them. 3 points. A, you got to wait 24 hours because the waiting doesn't cost you any money. Just like it doesn't just like it doesn't cost to wait till after Yom Tov for the egg, it doesn't cost to wait 24 hours to make those things puggle. Number one. Unless there is monetary loss to waiting. What would be a monetary loss for waiting?
Caterer.
You're a caterer. He's going to lose the client. He's going to lose the bar mitzvah if he waits 24 hours. Okay. 2. All the above is only with regard to vessels that could be kosherized. Metal, wood. But if they're earthenware, they can't be nullified. There is no yesh matirin, then definitely you rely on nullification because there is no matirin. There is no way out to make a kosher, so you rely on nullification for sure. This is from Alter as well. Number 3. The Shach and the Taz have a discussion about the following. The Shach says, based on the Bach, right? They put it. Where is it? Is it in Ches? What are they saying? Shach 8 over there. Do you have it there? Is there Shach 8?
The Riyah and the Maril hold that one should be stringent in the case and kosher all the utensils. This is how we should.
This is Shach or Taz?
Shach, yes.
Okay, so Shach quotes the Maril, which says you should stringent and kosherize all of them. But then he goes on to say what?
This is how we should behave if it will not cause great monetary loss.
Won't cause great monetary loss. Kosherize all of them. However, continues.
And even if it will cause this, one should wait 24 hours before using these pots.
Okay, we mentioned that in the 24 hours.
And another stringency we should follow is if we were not koshering, the pots is to remove one and not use it, for this will not cause any monetary loss.
So there's 2 things there. One is this chumrah to kosherize all of them, unless it's going to cost you a major amount of money, which you mentioned before. Shach said it has to be a lot of money. But even if it doesn't cost you a lot of money, there's a stringency to kosherize at least one. Because that's something you would have paid for anyway. Or, like he's saying, remove one. The Taz says.
What does remove mean?
Sorry?
Stop using it?
Yeah.
What does remove one?
The kasher one.
Kasher one. No. Kasher one.
What we said before.
Taz says you should kasher all of them. Yeah, kasher one or kasher all of them. There is this idea of throwing away one as well, where Hagala won't work. You should throw away one.
Throw away. Remove means
remove one, throw away one if you can't kosherize them. Dispose of it. Because that's not a monetary loss to you because you would have had that. You would have done that anyway.
Even if it's such a small amount, it's such a small percentage.
What's the difference? What's the difference? Yeah. Okay.
So just going back to base for a second after all of that.
Yeah.
And something that's we said if it's biyade, then it's still davar sheyeshel matirin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy he swore that he's not eating this egg.
Yeah.
And then he mixed the egg with all the eggs.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can go to a Rav.
And nullify his vow.
Nullify his vow, but he can't nullify if he can nullify the vow and cost him nothing,
Yeah.
then it's still he can't use the eggs.
Because of Yom Tov.
Because of Yom Tov.
Yeah, that's separate issue.
But if the Rav tells him you got to pay me $1 for the psak, then it's
then good in order to get under Rav.
Then it could be mevatel the whole thing.
Go get elections to get a new Rav. No.
I'm just saying that would mevatel the whole thing.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, if another hypothetical. If get another hypothetical for cost. Yeah,
he has a cost. So once it has a cost already,
well, then the other example of cost is sivalid, where it's going to ruin your food later. That's the example of cost, where your food is going to get ruined if you wait till later. That's the cost. Okay, so nullify it.
Okay,
that's the example.
All right, but the egg is not something that's going to be ruined later. It's going to be okay tomorrow.
Yeah, but if it's something that would be. If it was mixed into a soup, it's going to spoil by tomorrow because you don't have a refrigerator, you don't have a freezer because you're living in Poland in 1500s.
Right.
Then eat your soup on Yom Tov. Right. Okay. There's even the thought I saw somewhere that if this is the only food you have for Onyek Shabbos,
I mean anything
that stops you from waiting for the next day. That's lost. And we'll get to that in a minute.
Anything that stops you from waiting for the next day already makes the whole thing mutter.
Yeah.
The minute there's a problem.
Correct.
The next day it won't be what you're
correct.
What you're expecting.
Because remember, the whole thing is a chumrah.
Losing something.
Really, it's nullified. The whole thing is a chumrah. Every
Right.
other sif we learned till now is all about nullification, no problem, go eat and enjoy, make a
Right.
bracha.
Right.
Right? Now it's a chumrah. To
Right.
wait till you have full. So as soon as there's anything that's holding you back from doing that chumrah, don't do the chumrah. Okay. There's another interesting din which comes like this. Toivel and kalim, does that count as something that's going to cost you? So you have a non-toivel kalim that got mixed into your toivel kalim. You bought a new spoon, and before you got a chance to get a toivel, it fell into the rest of your spoons.
Maybe it was owned by two.
No, you bought it from non-Jew. You're not required to do tefillah.
Yeah, you bought it.
No cost.
Go at your place.
There's no difference in the cost of toiveling one spoon or toiveling 10 spoons. To toivel them all, can you make a bracha?
If you do them all at one time.
Do all of them at once. Very good. Do them all at once, and you can make a bracha because definitely the one that needs to be toivel is in there.
Right.
Very good. Very good.
Plural or
One bracha. You make one bracha.
Tefillah Tefillah?
I'll tefillah kli because only one of your kalim actually require it.
Yeah.
Right?
But
But it's
don't
only
know
if you do
which
all of them at
ones, so
once.
You just put them all in once.
That's right. There's no extra cost doing 1 versus 10. So do them all. It's an interesting point, unless you're talking about, again, a caterer who's got like hundreds of massive, and so they cost him time and effort to pay his employees to go there and toivel, then he
Yeah.
wouldn't have to.
As far as they don't hold it.
Okay. The loss of a mitzvah also counts as a loss. If I wait till tomorrow, I'll lose out on a mitzvah.
What's an example?
I don't know. Think of an example.
Shabbos.
Sorry,
So,
for a bris meal, let's say
You don't do it on the 8th day?
one mitzvah.
the meal for bris milah,
You know, you missed
or let's say an essay that might be truma or something.
What?
An essay that might be lacking its tevel. You didn't take truma from it because
Oh,
you're
you
Eretz
take
Yisrael.
truma. Okay.
Right? So it's Dorish Matirin because you could take truma,
Right.
and now it's mixed in with other
Right.
esrogim.
Right.
Are all those esrogim also to use for lulav esrog now? You can lose out on the mitzvah. Okay, that also might be considered a loss. All right, Dalit, and we'll conclude. Okay. Yesh mi sha'omer. Actually, there's going to be the Ramah himself lists. I wrote it down. As I was reading that, I wrote Aleph Beis Gimel Dalit. Hey, the Ramah is going to put 5 limitations now to Davar Sheish Matirin, which means we will allow them to be nullified because we're limiting Davar Sheish Matirin. And the Ramah Shulchan Aruch himself brings 1, so that's 6 total limitations of when Davar Sheish Matirin don't apply. And we're going to have some pushback from the Shach and the Taz and others. So I'm going to, at every one of the 6, I'm going to stop, go to the u'LeMaaseh, and come back. So we'll treat it like a 6 different sifim type thing, but not so long. Okay, 1. Yesh misha'imer, those that say the loy shayach di davar sheish matirin, heicha shamaychel maskalkel. We're not going to apply the stringency of davar sheish matirin and say this is not going to be nullified. If by the time I wait for it to be permitted, it's going to be spoiled. That's what we just finished saying. It's a monetary loss, and this indeed is the halacha. Even though the Shulchan Aruch phrases it as there are those who say it's the accepted halacha. Just that there are those who there's like back and forth as to what exactly counts as going to be ruined. What does that mean? It's going to be ruined. The wine's going to be off. It's going to be inedible. Like to what degree does it have to be ruined? Okay. The point is, I think the common, it seems like the consensus, at least, it sounds correct to the humble my little thinking, is that if it's such to the point where most people would not want it anymore, it's considered gone. All right.
It was valued $1 today, and tomorrow it'll be valued 50 cents. So it's
Yeah. So
that's
most
a
people don't
loss.
care for it anymore.
Okay, so I use it today.
Okay. So that's yeah, exactly. So use it today and they'll use it relying on nullification. Okay, that's 1. 2. Now comes Aleph of the Ramah. Number 1. This fact that something which has a permissibility later is not nullified, only if the prohibited item is identifiable. You just don't know which one it is, but the thing itself is there. Even if the thing is not, let's say, for example, the egg fell into a basket of eggs and you don't know which egg it is, but the egg is there, right? Or there's still some sort of substance left from that prohibited item. It is in the mixture. But if we're only talking about its flavor, right? So something which has permissibility was cooked with other things, and then you took out the prohibited thing. All that's left behind is flavor. Then bottle is nullified by 60. That's limitation number 2, according to the Ramah. However, Bach, Shach, and others say we disagree with Ramah, and they say even if it is just the flavor, it's still prohibited, and you have to wait till it becomes permitted later. That's what the Shachbach say. However, in footnote 74, he tells me that the Ramah, the Alter Rebbe follows the Ramah. I didn't look up the Alter Rebbe. I would like to go on later. But the Alter Rebbe here, he said, quotes the Alter Rebbe saying that he follows the Ramah, that if it's just flavor and not the actual substance of the prohibited thing, then it's nullified and you don't have to wait till later. However, the Mishnah Bruder here, he quotes as saying, only in great need should you rely on the Ramah's leniency. For example, you need it for Simchas Yom Tov. Okay, back to the main text of the Shulchan Aruch.
Explain me then how a davar sheyesh l'matirin could be something that's a forbidden food. I don't get that.
The most simplest example is, to make it simple, before you get into Chametz on Pesach, which we'll get to soon, simplest example is I vowed against eating that thing. It's just the most straightforward example.
I see.
Easiest example.
Chadash too.
Chodesh is another example. Bread that's going to become, sorry?
Because I did, then it's forbidden to
One shouldn't be eating from a new batch of grain before Pesach. So it's Chodesh. You wait till it become kosher to Pesach.
So
Another
is it
example.
Eretz Yisrael outside?
Sorry?
Eretz Yisrael outside.
In Eretz Yisrael, it's also much more common. If you buy fruits and vegetables that no Tumas and Meiser has been taken, it's also Davar Sheshimatin. I can easily take my Tumas and Meiser to become kosher. Right now it's not, by the way. Once I take the Tumas and Meiser, it'll become kosher. Okay, other examples. All right, we're going to stick with the Neder example. It's the easiest one to think of. Okay, back to the Shulchan Aruch now. Second Ramah limitation. Likewise, if the thing itself isn't prohibited, so it's a piece of meat that's not prohibited, it's totally kosher, but it's only that only if it absorbed something, right? It absorbed the egg that wasn't kosher. Then batal, it's nullified according to the Ramah. Therefore, says the Ramah, a piece of meat that wasn't properly salted, as we'll learn in Halachas and Malicha, within 3 days of Shechita. And now, since it's past 3 days in Shechita, you cannot salt it anymore. Now, there are those that say that this is considered something that has a permissibility. How so? Because you can roast it. I once mentioned before that there are 2 levels of salting, and we're going to get to this when we learn Malicha. There's full salting, and that's called Malicha L'Kadeda, because you're expecting to cook that meat in the pot. So you have to extract all the salt now before you put it in the pot. That's the meat you buy in the store. But there's a lower level of Malicha, which is you just have to put very minimal amount of salt, and that you can grill. So now, this piece of meat that hasn't been salted properly within 3 days of Shechita, you can't do the salting anymore for Kadeda. But you could do the salting for Tzliya. You could do the salting for grilling. Now, this piece of meat that wasn't salted, mixed in with other pieces of meat. So says the Ramah, maybe it's considered yesh l'matirin, grill all the meat. And the meat, and the one that wasn't salted would be grilled kosherly. Nonetheless, Afilachi says the Ramah, but Tela is bottle, and you could put all of them into a pot, even the one that wasn't salted. Why? Because the meat itself isn't the problem. It's the blood that's in the meat. Okay. So here too, the many great authorities, Taz Shach, disagree with Ramah, and they say if it's absorbed of something prohibited, even though they might agree with him with respect to the issue of the blood, because of the salt, because the grilling itself has the effect of extracting the blood. But putting aside the case of the blood, in the case of, let's say, the egg on Yom Tov that was absorbed in a piece of meat, the Ramah is saying it would be batal. It's only absorbed of the egg; it isn't the actual egg itself. The Shach and the Taz would say it's not batal. Wait till Matzah Yom Tov. Okay. Next item on the Ramah's limitation list. Kol iser anything prohibited that wasn't identifiable until such time that it was mixed in. Alter Rebbe example. You have wine, a wine barrel on Shabbos. A wine barrel. In the wine barrel, there's eggs floating around. In the middle of Shabbos, those eggs, not eggs, I'm sorry. Eggs are in my head. Yeah. You have a barrel of wine. In the wine, there's grapes. Now on Shabbos, these grapes pop open and produce juice. That juice would be also for you to eat on Shabbos, to drink on Shabbos.
Right.
But Shabbos it would be. Now this prohibition was born inside the mixture. Because the grapes broke open inside the wine. Says the Ramah, who bottled? This is nullified. because the prohibition never had a separate identity.
Mhm.
Even though it's going to be permissible later after Shabbos is over.
Mhm.
Any comments here? Another thing is, similarly, other poskim say that not if the mixture was born inside, not if the actual item was born in a mixture, like in this case where the juice was produced from the grape inside the wine. But what happens if it was mixed together normally, but only then did it become prohibited?
Only then did it become what?
Only then did it become prohibited. For example, since we're using the vow, there's wheat and barley. Wheat and barley mixed together. They were first separate, now they mix. And then I swear off, I take a vow against wheat. So wheat and barley are mixed, but they're mixed at the time that the wheat became permitted. Sorry, at the time that the wheat became prohibited, it was mixed in barley. Because I only swore off barley, swore off wheat after it's mixed into barley. Following?
A little bit. Let's see.
There's wheat and barley.
Yeah, okay.
A cup of wheat
And you mix it together.
and 10 cups
then
of barley
and then a person took a
mixed together. And then I take a vow against wheat.
Okay.
So now, at the time of the prohibition, the mixture already existed. And that, say, many of the halachic decisors, halachic poskim, is the same thing as the Ramah here, where it's born in a mixture. And because it's born in the mixture, it's nullified. Because that wheat never was prohibited to me as an independent item. It was always mixed. At the time of the prohibition, it was mixed with the barley. Now, a more relevant example of this,
So it doesn't need to be nullified now.
it no needs to be nullified as long as it's the majority ratio or 60, whatever the terminology.
It still needs to be nullified. 60,
Sure.
There needs to be 60 barley against
No,
the
this is
wheat.
yavish, so it just needs to be roiv,
Okay.
right? But nonetheless,
So it needs to be twice as much barley.
needs
As
to be, at least nullification. Now, here's a more practical example, which is very cool. I want to share it. You have a pot, you have your urn on Shabbos. The water was heated before Shabbos. All is good. Accidentally, someone added cold water to that urn. Now, water that's heated up on Shabbos is prohibited to you.
Of course.
But in this case, it's nullified within the water that was heated up
That's
before
already hot.
Shabbos. When did the prohibition happen? Only in the mixture. The prohibition didn't exist outside the mixture. Before it was in the mixture, it was cold water, it was perfectly drinkable.
Right.
So because the prohibition only was born inside the mixture,
Mhm.
it's nullified by the water that's kosher to me, which was heated before Shabbos. Very cool example. Okay, he brings this from number of modern poskim. Okay, the next item is actually an aberration from the list. I put it in brackets in my little Shulchan Aruch here because it's not a limit. It's not a limiting. It's just a statement. I don't know why the Rambam puts it here at this point, but it's what he says. Misha nodem levar echad, someone who vowed against eating a certain item. L'didei, as far as he's concerned, mikidav sheish lematir. It's considered something that could be permitted because I can ask the Rav and get nullified. I don't know why the Rambam sticks this in here. Like he's giving a list of limitations of Rosh Hashanah and then tells us now this halacha that neder is considered Rosh Hashanah. He could have told us that in Sif Aleph or Sif Beis. I don't know why it's here. Anyway, back to the list. Item number 4 from the Rama on limiting Rosh Hashanah. Something which is going to become permitted. And later it's going to become prohibited again. So it's going to go into prohibition, out of prohibition, into prohibition, out of prohibition. What's an example? Go in Chametz Pesach, like Chametz on Pesach. Because right now it's prohibited, it's Pesach. Tomorrow it's going to be permitted when it's not Pesach. And next year it's going to be prohibited again on Pesach. So is that considered Davar Sheish L'Matidin? Is that considered an item that is going to have permissibility soon?
He says not so.
Says the Rama, this is not considered Davar Sheish L'Matidin, therefore could be nullified. Now, even though everybody agrees, it should be noted that Chametz is also b'mashu. Chametz is nullified even the tiniest amount. Chametz isn't nullified even the tiniest amount, right? But and therefore it's not going to be nullified anyway. Okay, but there is other examples where if it mixes in Erev Pesach, where it's aser but not aser at such a level. At any rate, but yesh chokim b'zeh, others disagree and they say that chometz on Pesach is considered davar sheyesh lo matidin because at the end of the day it does have a time when it's permitted, and therefore chometz will never be nullified. Okay. Okay, final limitation from the Ramah, number 5, the final limitation. We do not treat it as something that's going to be permitted, Elam Kain, only if it's going to become permitted for the very person that it is prohibited to.
Right.
If for that particular person it's going to be forbidden forever, never become permitted, even though it's currently permitted to others, for example,
even though it will be permitted,
even though it is permitted. Sorry, it will be permitted. I'm sorry, you're right. It will be permitted. For example, someone who intentionally cooks on Shabbos, where the halacha is we penalize them and you say you can never eat that food. But other people can eat it if they shiyasu.
Mhm.
Right?
The amount of time it takes to make it.
I think it's Kadesh Shiyasu, you have to wait, right? If it's amazing that it's Kadesh Shiyasu, what's another Sheni? I don't remember. But it certainly it will become permitted for that person, for other people. It's not considered something that will become permitted, certainly not for that guy.
so what is he saying? It could be nullified on Shabbos.
And therefore can be nullified later, not on Shabbos. Actually, could be nullified on Shabbos.
Wow.
Presumably on Shabbos also can be nullified, yeah?
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't understand it.
Yeah. No, well, if it could maybe nullified after Shabbos, but I think you're right. Even if it's nullified on,
The whole thing is about, okay, Yontif will be nullified.
actually, the Magen Avram writes, okay, it's a good point. It's good you mentioned that because the Magen Avram writes in Orach Chaim, not here. The Magen Avram writes that this fact that it's not considered, that it's considered davar she'ein lo matidin, and therefore will be nullified, is only in Motzei Shabbos, not on Shabbos Gufin. There's a whole explanation why. There we want logic.
Catch it first. So because
Oh,
we cooked
on Shabbos,
on
it's
Shabbos,
I'll
and
tell
it's
you.
going to be to somebody after Shabbos will be able to eat it.
Okay, so on
He can't
Shabbos,
eat it
let's
ever.
explain the Magen
Shabbos
Avram.
forever,
On Shabbos right now, it's also for everybody.
of course.
So because it's also for everybody right now, therefore, and because it's also for everybody right now, and Motzei Shabbos, it will not be also for everybody. It's
No.
considered davar she'ein lo matidin, which won't be nullified.
It will be also for the one who cooked it.
One second. But
You-
its current state of Isser is going to be,
for everybody.
its current state of Isser is going to come to an end after Shabbos is over.
Yes.
And because its current state of Isser will come to an end on Shabbos it's not nullified for anybody. Because its current state of Isser will come to an end. Only after Shabbos, where its current state of Isser on that guy is never going away, that's when I say it's going to be nullified.
Okay.
Only, you understand the logic? On Shabbos, it's in a current state of Isser for the whole world. And
Yeah.
because that state of Isser is going to change, it will not be nullified on Shabbos. Only after Shabbos, when its current state of prohibition is on that guy forever, that's when I say it could be nullified because it's not davar she'ein lo matidin. That's the Magen Avram's Chiddush.
You want to say, so then for that guy,
I should look at Alter Rebbe. I don't remember that. I looked at Alter
you want to
Rebbe.
say for that guy that cooked it,
He said that's not
it's
that's
only-
what he says.
Alter Rebbe says the Magen Avram, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he's
Very
posted
good.
on the bottom.
Thank you.
That's what he
you want to
says.
say that, so for that guy who cooked it, you want to say it's only bottle after Shabbos.
Correct. Because on Shabbos, it's in a state of prohibition for the whole world, and that state of prohibition isn't forever. And because that state of prohibition isn't forever, it can't be nullified. Only Motzei Shabbos, when a state of prohibition against that guy is forever, that's when it can be nullified. Clear?
No, because the principle was that a thing that could be used after Shabbos, and this thing can never be used by him. So in that case, during Yontif, it could be nullified.
Okay, so you have to add like a little caveat, which is
And so that
if it's current,
this opposes the whole principle.
not mamish. It's a little bit of a reframing. I agree. It's a little bit of a reframing because what we're saying here is it's kind of similar to the question of two Yisurim that collide at once. Actually, it's not the same because the Alter Rebbe was Mekel and said it could be nullified. Because anyways, you have to rely on Bittul. Remember that on Sunday?
Oh yeah, that's
A
right.
Treifa and also So put that aside. You have to reframe it a little bit in that you have to ask yourself, what's its current state of Isser, and is that current state of Isser forever? On Shabbos, its current state of Isser is that no one can eat it.
Well, that's the whole story of this sugya, right? That's the whole thing.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Because this item right now.
So the idea of the simon is something cannot be nullified if it could be used in the same
Right.
state in the future.
So the answer to that
But
is
here, this can't be used in the same state in the future for the person who cooked it.
but it can be used in this because its state is going to change.
Only for somebody else.
Doesn't matter. It's the food state is going to change. You're right. It's still for the person. Okay, I hear what you're asking. I hear what you're
It's
asking.
against the.
I hear what you're
principle.
asking.
It's the opposite of the.
I hear what you're asking. I think what it's okay. Good. I hear what you're asking. Okay, I hear you. Good question. But nonetheless, understand the logic, even though I hear your question. Sorry. In other words, if it's a slap on the wrist, then look at that guy, slap him on the wrist, or don't slap him on the wrist because it's going to be permitted forever anyway. Sorry, it's going to be prohibited forever anyway. Either way, that's what you're saying.
Prohibited forever, correct?
Yeah, I hear you. You're saying the counter logic is
so then
that its current state of prohibition is going to come to an end.
It will be nullified now.
I understand.
Because it's never available to that person again.
Right. Whereas the way the Magen Avraham is phrasing it, and the Alter Rebbe echoes that halacha, that because its current state of prohibition is going to come to an end, therefore it won't be nullified. Because its current state of prohibition is going to come to an end.
As opposed to looking to the person who
As opposed
did
to
the
looking to the
affair.
person, correct.
As opposed to looking
Correct.
at the person, you're looking at the
Only when the Isser.
the chayfetz itself. You're looking at the thing itself
Right.
instead of
Because
looking at the one who acted
in other words,
upon
there's two Issurim here. One is the Isser against him because he did something on purpose, and the other is the Isser in the entire world because this was done on Shabbos.
Right.
Like the
Right.
like the water that was accidentally cooked on Shabbos. Whatever.
Right. So if we looked at it from the point of view of him, it would be we could say that it's going to be a buck.
Exactly.
But if we look at it from the point of view of the
Which-
substance,
Or what Isser is now applied.
right, then it
Even for the guy himself, we could say there's two Issurim.
right.
Until Shabbos is over, it's one Isser, which is you're not allowed to have something cooked on Shabbos. After Shabbos, it's an Isser. We're punishing you for cooking on Shabbos. You could even say for him himself, but two different Issurim.
No, I'm just trying to see how
But
it fits into the principles.
Because I'll tell you what, because there's two Isurim that happened to him. On Shabbos, the guy who did this on purpose, on Shabbos, why is it prohibited for him? Because he did it, or because it was done on Shabbos? So you can make the case that even for the guy who did it, the reason why it's prohibited to him right now is because it was done on Shabbos, just like everybody else in the world. And that Isser is coming to an end. When
Right.
Shabbos is over, we're going to slap him on the wrist with another Isser, which says, you did it, we're not letting you touch that thing again. And that's something that doesn't go away.
Okay.
Maybe you could see it that way. Okay. Two last points that I want to, relevant points here. One, if you have a kosher parva food into which a bit of milk was dropped and it's nullified, can I eat that parva with meat? Or do I say it's yesh lematin, I can eat a parva? The answer is we don't treat it as yesh lematin, and we say it has no heter for the meat, and if I could eat it with the meat because I'm relying on nullification. And I don't say because I have a heter to eat the thing on its own, I don't let you eat it with meat because I'm not relying on nullification. If that's the case, you could throw out a lot of the basar b'chol bittul you can throw out. Right? Follow that?
After 9 o'clock, the guy has to go slow.
If you have a parva soup, yeah,
70 is the new 40, but 9 p.m. is the new midnight.
is it even? Okay, you have a parva soup.
Yeah.
A little milk dropped in there.
Yeah.
Okay, are you allowed to have that with meat now? It's not, the milk is nullified by 60.
Right?
You could.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't I say, well, the soup has matir, eat it alone. Why rely on bittul if you eat it alone?
Okay. You could eat it alone. What do you need to have it with meat?
Exactly. We don't do that. We don't say that
Ah.
because it has no heter to meat, and therefore you can rely on the bittul to eat it with meat.
Right.
Here we go.
All right.
Another example he gives here is if you have like a milchik ice cream that got mixed in with a bunch of parav ice cream bars. You can eat them all with your fleshik. It's nullified. And we don't say yishla materin because you can eat it alone. Okay. Likewise, a guy who's not sure if he waited 6 hours after meat. Yishla materin. Wait 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then have your cheese. We don't say that. And if you're in doubt, We don't consider that Dover Shish Matirin, and it's a doubt to begin with. You can eat your cheese because even up begin, as we learned, you can get away with waiting less. Okay, that gives us Kuf Beis and Kuf Gimel. We're going to finally learn the halachas that we've been learning about all the time, which is the laws of Nais and Tan Gam. Now he's going to tell us about Nais and Tan Gam after all this time. Okay, good evening.
Go ahead.